Yeah, again, I think we struggle with the name, to be honest with you. I think patterns, implies of certain sort of things, but we thought this was more like best practices, really,
Mm, mm,
and things that more than patterns. But I'll give you an example. So
mhm,
one of the things, and this is a lived experience as well, we had built ideas, like you said, over the last 7, 8 years. We were designing for a different era. We were
mm,
designing for business intelligence to a large degree. We were designing for some dashboards. We were designing for showing customers how their usages were and the sustainability. We had M365 sustainability. Right? So all of them were consumed in a very UX-centric dashboards or even APIs. Ideas had a bunch of APIs that we published that other systems would consume, but that was
yeah.
built for a different era. And so, in many ways, the logic, the business logic, whether these are embedded within the BI or in the dashboards or somewhere it was floating in code, it was floating in Python scripts, all of that. It was somewhat of a big jumble. But then the one thing that we realized as soon as RAG comes to be is that in many ways, RAG needed meaning. And all
Mm,
that meaning was embedded through all parts of the ecosystem in the previous world. So we were moving
mhm,
now from a BI to where AI is the consumer of that data. We found that the meaning was woefully absent from these things and
mhm,
hard to do. So one of the first
yeah.
principles, the first pattern that I'll kick off to you is that the semantics begin at the source. So if I
Mm,
had to, so then, because now I think a lot of people are trying to retrofit semantic layers on top of their data, over the top of everything. And in some sense, that's too late. So we're
mhm,
saying semantics begins at the source. So
mhm,
in some sense, and then we started showing, and we have examples of how we did some of that and made sure that all that meaning. Now, I'll give you another example. Like if you look at a user ID, it's something that was
mhm,
scattered throughout, right? Whether it's in billing, whether it's in identity, whether it's in some SAP system, whatever you talk, there's a user ID. Now, you throw RAG at this, it will not know what to interpret as when you ask a question, tell me about the usage of blah, 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 because,
yeah.
and it's scattered throughout. And in some sense, you want to do more than just ask the usage. You want to say what is the revenue that you built for this quarter and what was it. I mean, it's just that type of meaning was simply missing throughout
Mhm,
the data because it was constructed for a different thing, and that all that logic was embedded in script code whatever, and it showed up on the UX, and the human could interpret, but the AI cannot. So we say semantics has to begin at the source, and so
mhm,
now a data asset may have a lineage a mile long, but the semantics, when you start at source and every single attribute or field or whatever else you have, it begins at the source. So we kind of come and then I'll throw another pattern at you. In some sense, we also say trust and quality
mm,
have to be a part of the metadata.
mhm,
And it has to be a part of that asset, that data
mhm,
asset. Because the worst outcome, and we talked about this earlier, we can lose trust like remarkably easy in the AI world. One wrong answer, no one comes back.